After suffering a narrow 1-0 defeat at Aston Villa, Man City returned to winning ways in the Premier League against a high-flying Bournemouth outfit, winning 3-1 at the Etihad Stadium on Sunday, thanks to two goals from Erling Haaland and a strike from Nico O'Reilly. Stephen, Man City are now back up to second in the Premier League table and sit 6 points behind leaders Arsenal. How important was that win against Bournemouth, and what were the main things you've taken away from that performance on Sunday?
It was ace, mate. I absolutely loved it. The main thing I took away from it was the ideas and the creativity and Pep. I think look, it feels a bit rejuvenated almost. Obviously we know we're working towards something, but I was looking around and I realized how many projects and how many ideas and new systems Pep's got on the go at the moment. Of course we'll get onto the actual performance in a minute, but that's what struck me. Nunes at right back as midfielder, Nico Riley's midfielder at left back, both excellent. The sort of new partnership with Vardiol and Diaz ahead of Donnarumma, another new thing. Nico Gonzalez been fine-tuned into a quality midfielder. Then he tried this sort of fluid, Cherki, Foden, Doku thing behind Haaland, who's improving as well. And you see all these players taking steps to improve themselves and play in certain different ways. And you think this isn't a sort of entirely new thing Pep's trying here in terms of the collection of players and so on. And he tried it against one of the best sides in the league, a team unbeaten essentially since the first game of the season. Not essentially, literally since the first game of the season when they were unlucky against Liverpool. They've been the most impressive side other than Arsenal since that first game week, and like that's really, 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 really impressive. And Bournemouth, they didn't play badly either. Really, I think City were just genuinely just better. We weren't maybe quite as dominant with the ball as sometimes we are. Bournemouth didn't really allow that, but there was a real cut and thrust to the City side and a physicality that impressed me, which on another day, if it wasn't there, could have been very difficult for City because Bournemouth, as we know, they're absolutely excellent, and we kept them largely quiet. Not a couple of iffy moments, and we're probably slightly fortuitous to not be a goal behind in the first couple of minutes, given that if that young creepy lad just stayed on side, we would have been a goal down. But City was still good value for their victory, and yeah, lots of ideas, lots of excitement, lots of work rate, and the budding signs of a really, really interesting and exciting Manchester City side.
Yeah, exactly. Really great performance overall. And I think one thing that stood out for me really was possibly the contributions of both Rayan Cherki and Phil Foden. It's great to see that all three goals for City were set up by Cherki and Foden. We had two assists from Cherki for Haaland in the first half, and then Foden setting up O'Reilly in the second half. They're the two playmakers. That's what they're there in the team for. So it
Yeah.
was great to see them contributing, and long may it continue. What did you make of those two, Cherki and Foden, and how excited are you by the prospect of those two playing regularly in those advanced positions in behind Haaland? And is that something you think we can expect a lot more in future matches?
I compared it last night on my YouTube channel when I was doing my match reaction to like when I remember being 13 years old and I'm waiting for Christmas in the morning and knowing but not knowing, you know what I mean, when your parents know what you're gonna get. And it was the N64 and Zelda, and like that was like the dream combo, the best console and the best game. I couldn't wait for it. And I opened it Christmas morning and it was as good as I hoped for. This to me, that's what I got a sort of reminder of that. I've been waiting for Haaland and Cherki for so long, and Foden and Haaland and Cherki. We all have, as City fans, we've been excited for it, and it was as good as we hoped. It truly was. Like, okay, there's things to improve, but the link up play between Foden and Cherki getting all the assists, and then the Foden with always the pass beforehand as well. Other than Nico Gonzalez, of course, for one of them, and then Haaland absolutely thriving off the movement and the creativity of those two players. It was just beautiful. I love football when it looks joyous, and Cherki and Foden and even Haaland in his own barreling brilliant way, they sort of epitomise that to me, and I got goosebumps watching it in the stadium, and you could sense as well around the fans that everyone was excited because this was the first taste of something that could be special. And obviously, look, I'm not saying Shirky's De Bruyne, but he seems to be, in my opinion, cut from a very similar cloth in terms of that guy just sees things that others don't. Like, even Pep said that. It doesn't mean he'll be a great player, but he has the tools to be a special footballer. Not many do. Very rarely do you see a player with that level of natural talent where it just looks effortless to him. And when you see a performance like that, you think, oh, this is early on. And this is against one of the best teams in the Premier League. And yes, he could be better still. But look what he did already, Shirky, and look how Foden links up with him already. It's just, yeah, I don't. It's very much not quite a I was there moment, but definitely a feeling of like, yeah, this is the glimpse of what could be when Aguero bagged two against Haaland by Swansea, and Haaland, was so impressive against West Ham on his debut and all this kind of stuff. And you see, and I know it's not his debut, Shirky, but it felt like a moment, that start with Haaland and Foden. And it was just exciting. It was exciting because they are so talented, and Pep immediately found a solution to how you fit them on the pitch, and he did it full of joy, and he did it easily. You know, Doku as well. We've not even mentioned him. Him just flitting between the lines as well. And at one point, Cherki was on the left. You know, Doku had gone over to the right and then drifted central, and Foden was switching here, there, and everywhere. Yeah, it was lovely, mate. I enjoyed it so much as a football fan, as a football purist more than anything. It was so exciting.